a very strong element.
Happy New Year, welcome to 2025. I hope you had a great festive season and you were blessed with you, your friends and your family. So kicking off this year, this brand new year, I'm going to be breaking down what elements you need to make a really good house song. The first thing is obviously drums. So your drums need to be a certain way for your track to really come out nice. So I'm going to show you my drums and how they're sounding like. So I'm going to go to my drum rack right here. So here's my channel rack, and on my channel rack I have this drum pattern right here. So one thing you really want to focus on in the beginning is start with your kick. So your kick is going to be very important. Like the house music kicks are really important because they really need to hit. And one thing about kicks is that if I open my kick here, you can see how the wave is looking like. So the sample itself doesn't have too much of a really long tail here, and it has a really short and snappy transient that is not very high. Like you can see the level here, you can see that the transient is right there, which is the green here, and then it rolls down with a lot of bass. So the green here showing you that there's more higher frequencies than the tail here. The tail is fading out to lower frequencies right here. So it's got a really bright transient, and then it quickly goes down to some really nice bass. So it's all about picking the right kick if you want to. So it has to be nice and short because the drums are gonna come after that and they're gonna need space around here. So you don't want your kick to also be playing at the same time, and it also helps it not clash so much with your bass. So if you're making other styles of house music like techno and things like that, they have really long tails on their kicks. So that's something you want to make sure that you choose. So what I did here, I threw on a really nice kick. So if I solo just the kick itself, it's just simple 4 to the floor. You don't need to like overcomplicate the kick. So the next thing I added was a hat. So this is just on an off beat so that you kind of have that swing, because when the hat comes in, you're starting to create rhythm, and you want to start to create like a bounce to the track. And as you can tell, my main swing is also around 46%. So you want to keep in mind about your swing as well. So you want to move your swing. And then I added another hat. So I have a couple of hats that I added here. So this one is basically kind of following the kick, but it also has extra steps in the middle here, exactly where the previous hi-hat was. And then I have another hi-hat here, adding more emphasis on the bounce. And then I have another one here. You can see the rhythm that it's adding. So it's on a different rhythm than the other ones, right? So it's giving you a really nice rhythm. The other ones are giving you that bounce that makes you, your head nod. And then this last one here on this channel here is making sure that, you have a nice groove. And then after that, obviously some rim shots. I usually like rim shots more than claps because rim shots to me are very stylish and they're organic sounds as well, So that's how my rim shot is sounding like. So when I have my rim shot right there, I also add one extra one at the end, because without it, it sounds like this. And then when I add it, and one thing I like to do is also layer my rim shots. Even if I'm also using claps and snares, I like to layer them so that I have different textures of them so that it becomes very thicker. So I'll add another one here. So you can see how the drums are really sounding nice. And sometimes these drums might feel like they're not really good drums, but when you start to play them with everything else I'm gonna show you after this, it's gonna all just make perfect sense. So all these drums, you can find them in the link down below if you want really quality house music drums that you can actually hear here. These drums that I was demoing are in my sample packs and my drum kit, so you can definitely check the link down below to check them out if you need really good sounds. So as you can see here, this is one of the rim shots I was using, and this is the next one here. So the drums are sounding really good, and if I go to the mixer, you can tell I didn't even mix them right here, although I did do some leveling right here by the channel rack to level them correct, but I didn't even mix yet, and they're sounding so good. No effects, nothing added onto them, So after you've got your drum sounding right, what you now need to do is add some instrument sound. So one instrument sound I would ask you to add is to add some really nice chords that are stab chords. I call them stab chords because that's what they feel like to me. So you want some stab chords right there. So you can see the notes I have here, they are very, very short. So if I play this back, it sounds like this. So you see that it's holding these notes all the way over here, and then it's just changing right there at the end. But when it comes to chords, it's up to you and your creativity and the style you're going for, exactly how you want the chords to flow. But for these ones, I wanted them to hold this chord here and then change right there at the end on the last bar, on the fourth bar right there. So the sound I'm using here is the 70s bounce you can find in Flex. So if you want the same sound here, you can get it right here. So I love that about this sound is I can play around with the filter cutoff here and play around with it so that the sound can, can morph and change with time, so that it can open up this nice filter. It sounds really cool. I just like playing with it. You can automate this obviously so that it sounds great. So now let's hear this sound with the drums. So we've got our drums. And then now we add our instrument. Ooh. Listen to that. That sounds beautiful. So just perfect drums and then some perfect chords. You can already tell that the idea is really dope. You can already tell that it's sounding really good. So then after that, what you can do is maybe find a vocal that you can add. So for me, I found this vocal I wanted to add here,
A very strong element.
which just says a very strong element. I just like that. It's just a vocal, it says a lo-fi phrase. So it's just a random vocal. It's just saying some random thing, but it sounds cool. So then I just added that and I just chopped it up a little bit so that it can, it can just not repeat the same thing, but it also has a little bit of a nice vibe to it by just not playing the same thing over and over again, just looping.
A very strong element.
Just like that.
A very strong element.
So it's just repeating the first A right there. And then also adding loops also emphasizes your drums as well, just to add some more texture and more layering. So I added a drum loop right here.
A very strong element.
So this is the loop right here. So this loop is filling in a lot of frequencies and a lot more pockets that were missing in my original drums here. So adding loops is not a problem. You can add a little bit more to add a little bit of that spice right underneath your drums so that your drums are not just empty, because you won't be really able to fill in all those pockets of drums that are missing. You can do it if you have the time, but sometimes just using a loop is also not a bad idea, as long as your drums initially are made well in the style that you want. So I added that there. And I also wanted some chords, right? So here are my chords that I added here. I took the chords in morphine. So this is what the chords sound like. Again, holding the same chord one time. And then changing right there at the end on the last chord right there. So these chords are in morphine. It's called the crystal keys. My favorite chord sound, my favorite key sound in morphine is crystal keys. I really love the texture of these chords, so they sound really great. And then now we can move on to the bass. Your bass needs to really hit, like your bass really needs to hit. So the first bass I have is a log drum, right? So I added a log drum right there. So this is my log drum. I love how that sounds. And then in the track, it sounds like this.
A very strong element.
It's flowing nicely with the track, right? So one thing about the bass is if you use a bass like this, you kind of have to take a look at the frequencies of the bass, right? So if I play the bass with an EQ loaded up here,
A very strong element.
it's really rich in the low end frequencies here, but I wanted to add more. I wanted more bottom end. I wanted to fill it up more. So I layered it with another sound, but I didn't want the sound to come in too much. So I layered it with this sound over here, which is an E flute, which is basically playing a sine wave that is at a really low frequency, so giving you that extra rumble that you need, because log drum is a good bass, but it takes a lot to really get that low sub frequency that you want. It doesn't have that really powerful low sub texture that that you would want in a track like this. So here's just this bass. So it's just a layer under the other bass. So if I solo these two, you will hear how it sounds. So it sounds less empty, right? It sounds much more thicker. So then with the whole track together, you get this vibe. So when it comes to the track itself, this is where you'll be at when you put all these elements together. So you just need to make sure your drums are solid and they are very simple and they're the proper drums for house music. You need some stab chords right there. You get some proper chords, a nice vocal and some nice bass. Then you're on your way. Then everything else now is just up to you, your creativity and your style. I hope you found this video very informative, and I hope I made it as clear as possible. If you have questions, you can always drop them down below. If you need anything to make music and make really quality music, like quality ingredients and everything, you can check out the link that's down below to my store, where you can find everything you need and even templates for house music as well, so that you can get a kickstart. Like this would be a really nice template to start from, and then you build from there. Then you can change everything up and put it into your own style. But thanks so much for watching, my friend. I hope you have an amazing 2025. I can't wait to see you in my future videos, so make sure to like and subscribe. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. I'm X and I'm out. Peace.